Welcome back everyone to the new year. You don't know how many times I've had to say that to get that right. I've been thinking about my New Year's resolution. And I've also been thinking about how I've had the same New Year's resolution for like 5 years. Look, I'm just gonna be honest, it hasn't been met. Now, of course, celebrating a new year is something that we all do just because we like to celebrate it. But the resolution part, that one doesn't really need to be there, but we do it anyway. It's kind of like an unwritten rule. It's kind of like we were told to do that when we were young and we continue to do that when we're old. So that's got me thinking, what are the unwritten rules to League of Legends that players must follow? And that leads me to the 5 unwritten rules that every player must follow. Mostly every player, maybe not all of them. So let's start off with the first one here. Number 1, dodging when your champion gets banned or when you're on a roll you don't play. Now you might be thinking, that never happens in my games, people first time. Well, let me take you back to the 1997, I'm just playing, I'm not that old, maybe I am. Let me take you back to the good days of League of Legends, the community that was just wholesome. Back in those good old days, you weren't able to really choose your role. The role got chosen for you. It was based off pick order. So back then, every account had a number that was specifically assigned to them. And they still do, I'm pretty sure, but there's a number that's specifically assigned to them. And that number will dictate where you are on the pick order. Even before that, it was based off your MMR. So let's just say my MMR is 1500, everybody else is below that. Well, I get to get first pick. Riot stopped doing that, and so they just gave every account a specific number, and it was random what order you put in. So back in those old days when you didn't get your champ, you didn't get your role, you would just dodge. Now, of course, not every player did this, but there was more players dodging back then because they didn't get their role or their champion than there are now. But it was just something that we did. We just figured we don't have a chance of winning, or we're just not gonna have fun not having our champion or our role, so we just didn't. Now, to be fair, this was back when there was like 50 champions, so there wasn't as many champions that we have now. That makes it more fun to just randomly try stuff. Now, for me personally, unless I'm playing my support account, if I am field support, I am dodging. Now let's move on to number 2, pinging MIA when someone leaves your lane. MIA means missing in action, for those of you that don't know. Personally, I think pinging MIA is one of the most important unwritten rules we should follow. It prevents deaths. It allows your team to be able to play around what's happening. It allows them to be able to back off a fight, maybe turn on the person walking. The issue is if you don't ping MIA, they probably end up dead. Pinging MIA is like if any of you guys were fortunate to have friends or even family with you at school. When your friend or family is MIA, maybe they're sick, maybe had a doctor's appointment, maybe they had to go to a funeral, what have you, you would usually talk to the teacher and be like, hey, my friend or whatever is MIA, they had to go this place or they had to do this. Just to kind of let the teacher know like what's happening. You guys didn't have friends like me, you would just let the office tell the teacher and go on about your business. Speaking of going about your business, let's move on to number 3, which is copying runes and builds for champions you don't know. Now, there are 2 types of players. You have the first player who will look at guides, look at the runes, look at the builds, look at the skills, how it works, combos and things like that before they take them into the game. Then you have the second player who will slap on that op.gg, u.gg, blitz app, professor, whatever you use to put the runes and masters on their champion and then wing it. Yes, we all know that person, whether it's you, whether it's somebody else that you know. There's always that one person that has no clue what they're doing, but they'll just pop on those runes and masteries and said, let's do it. But what they both have in common is they look up those runes and builds to make sure that they have what's necessary for the game when they start it. Going into a game without runes and builds for your champion is like trying to go somewhere without Google Maps. It's just, you're probably not gonna find that place. You're not gonna do well. You're most likely gonna come home dehydrated. I'm just saying, it's gonna be a waste of time. It's gonna be a waste of gas. People are gonna look at you funny. They're really gonna wonder what's going on. They're all gonna turn to Michael Jackson and say, Annie, are you okay? I mean, there's just a lot that's gonna come with it. And so usually we like to look at the runes and builds before we decide to hop into a game. That way we at least look like we know what we're doing, and if something does go wrong, we slide into number 4 and blame something or someone else for something that was totally our fault to begin with. Yes, blaming someone or something else. Now, we're hardwired to blame other people for things or blame other situations for what happens to us. But a lot of the times, if we took responsibility for it, we would come out a better person and we would grow and we would see the light and we'd be so much happier. But who cares about all that? We just don't want to be blamed. It could be something as major as calling a wrong fight and getting everybody killed, or something as simple as buying the wrong item. I've heard excuses of that. Oh, I'm sorry, I bought the wrong item. It was because blah, blah, blah. Really? One of my favorite ones when I'm coaching, coachbooker.com if you are interested in booking a session to reach your goals, but again, who cares about that? The I shouldn't have fought that, but syndrome. It's a good one, trust me. Here's how it works. Oh, we died, I shouldn't have fought that, but my support was telling me to go. Let me give you another one. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, but my top laner decided to teleport. One more, just to be fun. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, but my jungler. I'm trying to tell you, that's the famous line right there. But what? That is just an unwritten rule that we follow. Why accept responsibility when we can make someone else look like a fool? Put that on a t-shirt. The last one, and I believe the most common, is honoring someone when you win and skipping that screen when you lose. I mean, let's just be honest. There's no reason to honor someone if you lost. What are you gonna do? Hey, good job for losing me my game. The only time you would honor someone when they lost, if someone that was really shining or your whole team did horrible and you decided to honor the person that did the least horrible. If it's a normal game, then you're not honoring anybody, you're skipping that screen. If you win, you're usually honoring the person that played really well, got the most kills, or you're honoring that support because why not? That's why all supports have honor 5s. It's because we honor you guys and you guys don't even deserve it. But those are my 5 unwritten rules that I think most players tend to follow. If you have any unwritten rules that your friends or family or just you've seen in League of Legends period that people tend to follow, let me know in the comments below. I would love to know what unwritten rules there are that's floating around that you guys tend to follow. Another rule that I wish that would become an unwritten rule is if you feel like you're having lack of control in your games, if you feel like you're just wasting time, so many games played and you're still not improving or getting better, or if you feel you're lost, you don't really know what to do from here, you don't really know where to go, you don't really know how to play, book a session at coachbooker.com. We can sit down, see what's going on, and having you have tremendous impact in your games after we're done. Until next time, Nora always say, thank you for what? Approaching this like a coach.